I wasn't snooping. That's what I tell myself anyway. It's the lie I need to believe so I can sleep at night. The truth? The truth is messy. It was 5:45 p.m. on a Thursday. The office was half empty, the air conditioning had already clicked off, leaving that stale, warm silence hanging in the room. I was fighting with the copy machine, that ancient beast that always jammed right before a client presentation. My manager's desk was right next to the printer. He'd stepped out for a coffee run, leaving his laptop open. I wasn't looking at it, honestly. I was focused on pulling a crumpled piece of paper out of the toner cartridge. But then the screen flickered. It wasn't a notification, it was just the cursor blinking on a Word document he'd left maximized. The title was bold and centered, Annual Performance Review Drafts, and right below it, my name. I froze. My hand was still inside the printer, covered in ink dust. I knew the rules. I knew I should turn around, walk away, fix the printer later. Every ethical bone in my body screamed, "Don't do it!" But curiosity, it's not a loud voice. It doesn't shout. It's a reflex, like touching a wet paint sign just to see if it's dry. I leaned in, just an inch, just enough to catch the key words. I expected the usual corporate fluff, maybe a note about my spreadsheets or how I needed to speak up more in meetings. The first few lines were safe, reliable, punctual, keeps head down and executes tasks well. It felt like reading a description of a kitchen appliance, useful, functional, boring. But then my eyes snagged on a paragraph highlighted in yellow, the notes for his own manager, the unfiltered part. Solid support player, but lacks the spark for leadership, risk-averse, unlikely to evolve beyond current utility, a safe pair of hands, but not a driver. Unlikely to evolve. I didn't hear the printer beep when it finally started working. I didn't hear the elevator ding down the hall. I just felt the blood drain from my face. Utility. That's what I was. Not a person with potential, not a future leader. I was a safe pair of hands. I was the person you kept around because I wouldn't break anything, but you'd never bet on me to build anything either. I closed the distance between me and the hallway instantly, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I had never been late. I stayed until 8 p.m. when no one asked me to. I fixed everyone's mistakes. I thought that was dedication. I thought I was building a reputation. Turns out, I was just building a comfortable cage. The meeting 10 minutes later was a blur. My manager sat across from me, smiling, joking about the coffee line. He looked at me with that friendly, vague expression he always used. And for the first time, I saw it for what it was. Pity, or maybe just indifference. He didn't see me. He saw a piece of furniture that did its job. That night, my apartment felt too quiet. I lay in bed staring at the shadows on the ceiling, replaying the last 3 years of my life. I thought about every time I had a bold idea in a meeting, but swallowed it back because I didn't want to look stupid. I thought about every time I volunteered for the grunt work because it was easy. I thought about every time I said, "I'll do that later," to my real dreams. Later had finally arrived, and it had labeled me unlikely to grow. The anger didn't come immediately. First, it was shame, heavy, hot shame. But by 3 a.m., the shame cooled into something harder, something sharp. I got out of bed, I didn't make coffee, I didn't turn on the TV. I opened the Notes app on my phone. The screen glowed too bright in the dark room. I typed a single line, staring at the cursor just like I'd stared at his screen. What would I do today if I wasn't just a safe pair of hands? I didn't have the answer yet. I didn't have a plan, but as I watched the sunrise turn the sky gray, I knew one thing for sure. The person described in that document, he died last night, and whoever walked into that office this morning was going to be someone they didn't recognize. I overcorrected. Looking back, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. That morning, I walked into the office wearing a mask. Not a literal one, but a persona I'd stitched together overnight. I wasn't the safe pair of hands anymore. I was the idea guy. I was the risk taker. Or so I thought. We were 10 minutes into the Monday strategy meeting. Usually, I'd be taking notes, blending into the beige walls. Not today. When the senior VP paused for a breath, I jumped in. I didn't wait for a gap, I created one. "We should scrap the Q3 timeline," I blurted out. My voice was a little too loud in the quiet room. "It's too conservative. If we want market share, we need to launch next month." The silence that followed wasn't respectful, it was heavy. The VP looked at me over his glasses. "We don't have the inventory to launch next month," he said, his tone flat. "We discussed that in the email you were CC'd on yesterday." Ouch. Under the table, my hands were sweating. A notification pinged on my laptop screen, a private message from Sarah, the colleague sitting right across from me. "You okay? You seem manic." I forced a smile and typed back, just trying to push the envelope, but inside I felt like a fraud. By Friday, I was exhausted, not the good kind of tired you feel after a workout, the toxic, draining kind of tired that comes from pretending to be someone else for 40 hours straight. And then I messed up. It wasn't a tragedy, but it wasn't small. I tried to expedite a client project without getting the usual approvals. I thought I was showing initiative. I thought I was cutting red tape. Instead, I sent a draft with the wrong pricing data to our biggest client. Saturday morning wasn't peaceful. It was a panic attack. My phone buzzed. It was my manager. My office now. I walked in expecting the end. I expected him to pull up that Word document and point to the line, "unlikely to grow." I expected him to say, "See, I was right." He didn't. He looked tired. He gestured to the chair opposite him. "Walk me through it," he said. Not angry, just curious. I wanted to get it out fast, I stammered. I thought taking the lead meant making the call without bothering you." He leaned back, studying me. "You think leadership is doing everything alone?" I thought it was about showing I don't need my hand held. He laughed, a short, dry sound. "Look," he said, leaning forward, "initiative isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, and it's definitely not about jumping off a cliff without checking your parachute." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Real growth isn't about ignoring the risks. It's about owning the outcome, even when the outcome is that you screwed up. Why didn't you ask for a second pair of eyes?" I opened my mouth to defend myself, then closed it. "Because I was afraid," I admitted, my voice dropping. "I was afraid asking for help would prove I'm just average. Asking for help is the only way you stop being average." That night, the apartment was quiet again. I opened my notes app. The original question was still there, mocking me. What would I do today if I wasn't afraid to confirm this opinion? I deleted it. That question had made me reckless. It was based on fear. I typed a new one, a simpler one. What would I do if I wasn't trying to impress anyone? The next Tuesday, the vibe in the meeting was tense. We were stuck on a logistics problem. The old me would have stayed silent. The new fake me would have thrown out a wild, stupid idea just to be heard. I did neither. I listened. I watched the team go in circles, and then I saw the gap. I didn't shout. I didn't interrupt. I just raised my hand slightly. What if the bottleneck isn't the shipping, but the packaging time? The room stopped. The VP turned to look at me, not with annoyance this time, with interest. "Go on," he said. We spent the next 20 minutes unpacking that idea. It wasn't my solution by the end, it was the team's, but I had sparked it. After the meeting, Sarah caught my arm in the hallway. "That was good," she said. "You actually saved us about 3 hours of arguing." I smiled, and for the first time in a week, my face didn't hurt from faking it. I wasn't the loud leader. I wasn't the silent worker bee. I was just present. And for the first time, "unlikely to grow" didn't feel like a tattoo on my forehead. It felt like a challenge I was finally starting to understand. The opportunity didn't announce itself. It didn't walk in with a fanfare or a clear job description. It slipped in quietly, disguised as the one thing nobody else wanted. We called it the Zombie Project. It was a client migration that had been stalling for 6 months. It wasn't failing loudly, it was just slowly sinking under the weight of too many opinions and zero decisions. Every Tuesday status meeting was the same. A slide went up, people sighed, excuses were made, the slide went down. Everyone saw the rot. No one touched it. During one particularly painful discussion, my manager, David, took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. He looked exhausted. "Look," he said, his voice quiet, "we are going in circles. I need someone to actually step in and own the timeline, not just update the spreadsheet, own the mess." The room went dead silent. It was that heavy, uncomfortable silence where you can hear the air conditioning humming. People looked at their notebooks. They checked their phones. I saw a senior colleague suddenly become very interested in his coffee cup. They knew. If you took this and failed, you were the scapegoat. My instinct, my old instinct, screamed at me, "Stay still. Don't move. Be the safe pair of hands." But then the text from that file flashed in my mind. Unlikely to grow, risk averse. If I stayed quiet now, I wasn't just staying safe, I was proving him right. I was signing my own sentence. My hand went up. It felt heavy, like lifting a weight. "I'll take it," I said. The air left the room. David looked at me. He didn't look relieved. He looked concerned. "You know the state of this account," he said. "It's highly visible. If the migration fails next month, there's no hiding it." Visible. That word used to terrify me. Visibility meant vulnerability. It meant people were watching. My heart was hammering against my ribs, a frantic rhythm only I could hear. "I know," I said. I kept my voice steady, forcing a calm I didn't feel. "I want it." For the next 3 weeks, I didn't just work. I lived inside that project. I stopped trying to be the nice guy who just wanted everyone to get along. I started asking the uncomfortable questions. I walked into a department head's office, someone 2 levels above me, and told him his team was the bottleneck. My hands were shaking under the table while I said it, but I said it. Not everyone liked the new version of me. One evening, a colleague named Sarah stopped by my desk. She looked at the chaos of sticky notes on my wall. "You're walking into a firing squad," she whispered. "If this goes south, they'll pin it all on you." "I know," I replied. And that night, the doubt hit me hard. I sat in my apartment, the glow of my laptop screen the only light in the room. What if I'm just an imposter? What if I'm about to prove that I really do like judgment? I had to send the go, no-go email for the launch. I almost deleted the draft. I almost sent a generic, "we're hopeful" update to cover my back. Instead, I took a breath and typed the truth. I outlined the risks, I listed the contingency plans, and at the bottom, I added a line I had never written in my life. I have authorized the final switch. If there are critical errors, the decision was mine. I hovered over the send button for a full minute. Total ownership. No excuses. No, we decided. Me. I clicked send, and then I waited. The migration didn't go perfectly. Real life rarely does. There were bugs. There was a server lag at 10 a.m. that made the client scream. There was panic. But here's the thing. Because I owned it, I could fix it. I didn't wait for permission to act. I didn't look for a committee to approve a patch. I directed the team. We fixed the holes. We calmed the client. By 4 p.m., the system was stable. It wasn't a miracle. It was just work. Hard, messy, scary work. But the shift in the office was undeniable. People weren't looking past me anymore. They were looking at me. Not for permission, but for direction. A week later, I had my quarterly one-on-one with David. He opened his laptop, the same laptop. My stomach gave a little lurch, remembering the text that started all of this. But he didn't open a document this time. He just closed the lid, pushed the computer aside, and looked at me. "You took a hell of a swing on that migration," he said. "It needed to be done," I replied. He studied me for a long moment. "You know," he said, leaning back, "6 months ago, I had a very specific idea of who you were. I had you in a box, reliable but static, good but not a driver." I felt a chill. He was saying it out loud. He was quoting the file, even if he didn't realize it. "I was wrong," he said simply. "You're not inside that box anymore." I looked him in the eye. I didn't tell him I'd read the file. I didn't tell him about the anger or the fear or the early mornings staring at the ceiling asking myself who I was. I didn't need to. I just smiled. "No," I said, "I'm not." I walked out of his office and back to my desk. Down the hall, the big office printer was beeping. It was jammed again. Someone was standing over it, sighing, looking around for help. The old me would have stopped. The old me would have rushed over, gotten ink on my hands, and fixed it just to be helpful, just to be reliable. I didn't stop. I walked past the printer. I walked past the fear of not being liked. I sat down at my desk, opened a new project, and started to work. I wasn't a safe pair of hands anymore. And for the first time in my life, the future didn't look like a straight line. It looked like an open door.